Hello, hello, hello. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu pakhair ragale. Ni hao, churashumme, washmale, ohai gunzaimus. Guten Morgen, Ullah, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifa hal? Hale shuma chatore, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, balli karaya. And a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning. Alongside the one and the only Shahzad Hassan Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that everybody out there is doing perfectly well and that you guys are ready to take on the day. And it's really important as well. But today, early in the morning, something really interesting happened with me, which I'm not really sure whether I should be sharing. It's a very important day today. And it's because of the fact that, when even we talk about human body, we know for sure that there's more than 70% water in human body. And then the rest, obviously, is what you see for yourself and for ourselves as well. But ladies and gentlemen, water over the years we have seen has become scarce, and people will eventually start to fight for water, and this is something which we really do not want. And even at our when we take a shower, even when we're shaving, even there are these small little things which we do every day. We kind of waste a lot of water. And do you think that we should be wasting water when we know that water is one of those things which is becoming scarce day by day? I think that this is something which we really need to think about. Not just that, ladies and gentlemen, adding on to this, we know for sure that water is something without which life will nearly become impossible. God forbid, if you do not drink water for 3 or 4 days, you first of all are going to dehydrate, then obviously you're going to pass out, and there will be no life left in you. So we really truly know the importance of water, but what are we doing with the water reserves? What are we doing? How are we consuming water is something that we really need to talk about. These patterns, ladies and gentlemen, have actually led to where we are today. Even in the past, everybody knows that there are certain different countries, in fact, many countries where there is no water or very little or very less water as well for that particular matter. If we talk about Brazil, ladies and gentlemen, Brazil is short of water. There's scarcity as well. And then not just that, I think what we really need to do is that we really need to think about how life would be, God forbid, if you're not going to leave water for our future generations. I think it's going to be very difficult. Today happens to be Water International Day, ladies and gentlemen. We will be in conversation with people who are going to let us know what we really need to do and what should be the way forward, because it actually talks about the SDG 6 as well. So today, to start the conversation, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be the Director of Faculty, Public Policy, Rifa International University, Dr. Rashid Aftab Saab. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, walaikum salam. Rashid Aftab.
Rashid Aftab Saab, sir, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Very good morning to you and to everybody.
Thank you very much, sir. Wonderful to have you. And we truly want people who actually speak about public policy as well, so that we kind of move in the same direction, and that too together. Alongside Dr. Rashid Aftab Saab, ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by an environmentalist. She happens to be Ms. Mariam Shabbir. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Shehzad, and to everyone.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. So, sir, Rashid Saab, let's get the conversation started with you. Where is the world in terms of water preservation, and where are we in terms of scarcity of water?
Thank you, Shehzad.
Thank you very much, sir.
First, we have to look into the fact why we are here today.
Yes.
Obviously, United Nations, in pursuance of a commission that is called United Nations Commission for Environment Development.
Okay.
That commission recommended to the United Nations General Assembly somewhere in and the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution in pursuance of that recommendation in December 1992.
Wow.
And the resolution, which was approved by the United Nations General Assembly, that 22nd of the March will be observed at the World Water as a World Water Day,
yes.
for all the member countries of United Nations.
True.
And why it was important that water to be on the radar of international community up to the level of the United Nations, and obviously with the participation of all the member countries, because we have a very limited water resources which are available for the consumption.
Okay.
For consumption at of the 3 levels, whether it's a human consumption, agriculture consumption, or industrial consumption.
Right.
So less than 3% of water is available as a fresh water, because on the globe, because the rest of the water is in saline water, like in the form of the oceans and the seas. So that is one aspect. Second aspect was that about 1/3 of the population of the world are not access to safe drinking water.
Exactly.
So just to make the awareness and for the advocacy, United Nations asked the respective countries and all over the world that this day of 22nd of March must be observed as the World Water Day. Today, now the 2021, the theme of the World Water Day, obviously each year there is a new theme.
Exactly.
And obviously it is in accordance with the fresh water. Is the value of the water.
Okay.
It's the value of water. So that is very much critical. We have very limited resources of water, and those resources must be efficiently, optimally to be utilized. If you are talking about in context with Pakistan, just think when Pakistan came into being in 47 or even in 50s as well, we were a water surplus country.
All right.
It was more than 5,000 meter cube per day per person, the per capita availability of water. But now Pakistan has become a water deficit country because of the exponential growth in the population.
Exactly.
So now we have reached to the level of 1,000. So just imagine 5 times per capita water availability has declined. What does it mean? It means there is a serious challenge of water availability or the water security or water scarcity.
Exactly, sir. And this is something which I would love to talk about as well, because not just in, I was just thinking while you were telling us about, the background and the history, and I think it's fabulous to know as well. But, I just got to know that, one of my friend is over here from England, and he was doing this charity work somewhere around the villages of Multan. Imagine they didn't have access to clean drinking water, so they were digging tube wells. That's one different story. So imagine people who haven't really had water now are going to get to know that there is no water as well. This one point, this is very sad. The second point, you go to Karachi, for anybody who's actually living in Karachi, they would know the pain, because every now and then you actually have to call somebody to get a container to get your tank filled up as well, and that's not clean drinking water. Clean drinking water, you have to go to the market, purchase it and bring it back. So this is why I think that if there's going to be any other fight, I think it's going to be for water as well. But moving on to you, Mariam, now with so many areas where there's no access to clean drinking water, even if we go like 3 or 4 years back, there was this news that that the water filter plants over here, even in Islamabad, 20 of them were producing good drinking water, but the rest of them were not even producing drinkable water. So where are we in terms of water, drinkable water, or consumable water, or water which is healthy for us or safe for us?
You were just mentioning about the water situation in Karachi, and let me just relate it to our recent research which SDPI has conducted. It was related to climate-induced migrations in Pakistan, but it does have a component of water availability as well. And when I went into the field in Tharparkar district, communities over there do not have access to water at all. Debate of clean drinking water is another matter.
Okay.
Ladies and females, they fetch water, they travel for hours, and they fetch water for domestic purposes in the big cans, and that too is brackish water, and they do have chemicals like fluoride and other chemicals which does impact their bones and their tooth health. This is the situation. So there are many parts of the country where water is not available at all for drinking. You can say that Pakistan is blessed in a way in some parts with too much water and somewhere too little water.
No, since you mentioned that there's hardly drinkable water out there as well, I'm going to agree to it. But thinking of that, imagine that people who actually had boring at their homes are the people who can drink water. Otherwise, even the supply water, you cannot drink it from the tap. There are problems with that as well. But we'll come down to that later on. But first of all, we really need to find water to drink as well, right? That's what we're doing. So yeah, what's the situation like?
So wells are really drying up because of climate change, and as this gentleman also mentioned, that population is growing.
Yeah.
So with growing population, demand is increasing for
Yeah.
everything, including water. And it is said that Pakistan's economy is water intensive. And why is that? Because we are an agriculture
Agriculture-based,
country.
yeah.
We consume too much water for agriculture, and we waste a lot of water in that sector as well. I won't blame that, because we have to produce something to really rely on. But the practices really need some modifications, and latest technology is also needed to really conserve that
That's
water.
true.
And when there is too much water during monsoon period, we do not have reservoirs to save that water, to store that water so that it can be utilized in later stages. And unfortunately, our existing reservoirs are also drying up. And one fact which is very latest, according to sanitation by the United Nations, that around the globe 300 billion people do not have access to water to really clean their hands. And with COVID-19, since we are talking about water, this has direct relation with COVID-19 situation as well, because in that you have to wash your hands with soap again and again, and the tap is running, and demand of water has increased. So different researches tells that by 2050, if this practice continues, population growth and business as usual for consumption of water in different sectors, Pakistan will run dry. We are already water scarce country at this stage, which is so unfortunate, because at the time of independence we were having a lot of water in access actually.
Yeah, that's what
But now
Rashida was telling us as well. That it was up to 5,000. Now it has come down to 1,000 as well.
That's true.
So sir, first of all, do you think our elderly were most of the time taking showers, that we have actually come down from 5,000 to 1,000? But other than that, since Ms. Mariam has very rightly mentioned that, since we are an agriculture-based economy, the consumption of water will stay high. But, since we have not inducted the latest technology on how people are actually utilizing water world over, I think that really needs to work, and it will come with public policy as well. So are we doing something on that level?
Two things I would like to add with respect to your comment in context with Karachi, and her comment with respect to the quality of water. Obviously in Karachi, I think there is a serious challenge of water governance system.
Exactly.
That is more
There is a water mafia in Karachi. I'm sorry, but
obviously that is
it
is the part of that governance component of the why water mafia has taken over the role of the public sector.
Exactly.
Second thing what she mentioned regarding the fluoride and so there is a serious obviously when we talk about the water, we have to like segment water in the two components. One is the water quantity, which means the availability of water, and other is the water quality, the water, whether that water is fit for human consumption or not.
Wonderful.
I always use, instead of using the word clean, I prefer to use the word safe.
Okay.
Because in the worldwide there is Clean Water Act are different, and Safe Water Act are different.
Wonderful, thank you.
Since clean water may or may not be safe, but safe water will always be safe for human consumption.
Wonderful.
The second myth is this, that
so very sorry, but since now you know about it as well, so what's the difference in clean and what's the difference with safe?
Safe is fit for your human body.
And
it is healthy water.
Yeah,
it's a healthy water.
Okay.
But in clean water, maybe some aspects or some parameters are there which are not fit for the human consumption, but it can be used for other purposes.
So I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is a disclaimer that everybody who's out there, please make sure that you always drink safe drinking water, not clean drinking water. This is a very important message. Always drink safe drinking water. Whenever the bottle says clean, do not drink it. It's not good for me.
And one more thing I would like to add, that we usually prefer to drink these bottled water, which we used called it mineral water. Those are not mineral water.
Okay.
Obviously, mineral water comes from the minerals.
A lot of money. You're ruining our childhood.
Whatsoever, those are the international companies. They are making a lot of money. But from my point of view, or from the what the research says about it, that what we have to do, that water is a precious commodity of nature.
It is.
And the nature has given in one of its purest form.
Yeah.
We have to drink as the nature has given us. But we have done, because of the man-made interventions, we have polluted that reservoirs of the water. What these companies do, they take water from any of the source, they make water zero, then they add water parameters, calcium, magnesium, and in accordance with the WHO guidelines or PSQCA standards, which are the national standards for water quality. But while doing those that process of making water zero, some of the natural minerals which has Almighty Allah has given, those minerals are not now the part of that water. Now, and those minerals are very much vital for the human body, because water is the best solvent.
It is.
So, I would always suggest that you have to take water from the original source of preferably groundwater.
Yeah.
You go for a do a water quality testing from the chemical, micro, all aspects, and whatever the impurity is there, just eliminate those impurity and just drink that water. Number second, which you are more focusing regarding the usage of water with respect to the quantity context.
Yeah, and with respect to the advancement in technology.
Advanced tech, obviously. Just first, we have to look into it. What are the different sources which are available for water? One is the surface water in the form of Indus, which is about 138 million acre feet. It comes from the glaciers and rivers. Second is the groundwater, which is 48 million acre feet, which is available from the groundwater. And third is the precipitation in the form of the rainfall, which is about 26 million acre feet. It all together comes about 210 or something like that to 5 million acre. That is the whole water resources available for us.
So we only have 3 water resources over here.
So there is no other. I think the other will be the recycle and something. So now these resources has to be utilized in accordance with its the sector to be utilized. One is the agriculture. Agriculture use about 93 to 94% of water, and about 4-5% is being utilized by the municipal water, in which drinking water as well as sanitation, and 1 to 2% about the industry. So what is happening to your question regarding the technology? That right now, since the agriculture is the biggest consumption of the water, so what we are doing, we are applying we are using flood irrigation in the agriculture, in which there is a huge losses, wastage of water, because water is not supplied in accordance with the requirement of the crops. Every crop has got a different requirement. For instance, I give you an example, like if rice, we are growing a rice crop, right now in Pakistan, we are applying 8 times more water than it is required for the crops.
So why are we doing so?
I mean, there's the farmers, because of the traditions, and we think that as much we apply more water, we will get more yield. It's not correct. If you just take data from Philippines or rice growing areas, they apply less than 8%. What we do, what does it mean? It means when you export rice, you export virtual water. So this is, so we have to use the technology in terms of high efficient irrigation systems, like trickle irrigation, drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation systems for to preserve the water and to conserve the water in the agriculture, and similarly at the municipal level for the human consumptions.
That's true, and that's wonderful as well, sir. Thank you very much for coming, in fact, for joining us as well. It's wonderful to talk about this as well, because I remember, I'm sorry that I have examples from the developed countries as well, since we are a developing country as well, alhamdulillah, ladies and gentlemen, so we really need to learn. And God forbid, if you're not going to take precaution measures now, God forbid, the future generations are going to go through a tough time. And imagine that, even now today, when water is so scarce that we do not get safe drinking water, I think it's a question mark for all of those people who are the think tanks of the country, whether we are moving in that direction or not. But not just that, Ms. Mariam, I'm going to come down to you as well, because now we want solutions before we head out towards a short break for another segment. Now, when we talk about solutions, obviously we really need to have some amazing awareness programs for farmers, for people like us, you know, at homes, families who waste a lot of water. I think that's what we really need. That's one suggestion. What suggestions do you have in terms if we have to save water?
I think there are different levels to really save water.
Okay.
One can be at the government level, other is at individual level.
Yeah.
So at government level, government really need to invest in reservoirs and building capacity of existing reservoirs as well, because their capacity is also reducing.
Exactly.
By reservoir, I don't mean bigger dams. You can construct mini dams in many areas where water can be reserved,
Yes.
and you can also, at grassroots level, you can also educate communities to save water without any investment in their local areas for domestic use at least.
Exactly.
And other is at individual level. At individual level, what you can do is that you can take showers in less than 5 minutes. You can do sustainable fashion.
We already do that. Yeah, we already do that.
But do you know that are we really doing sustainable fashion? Because by sustainable fashion, I mean that our shopping practices. Because for producing a single jean, it requires a lot of liters of water to really produce a single pair of jeans, which you are wearing right now, or which I'm
not wearing jeans, but yeah, I truly get the point.
So
I totally get the point that this is the way
and,
forward.
and of course, when we are washing cars and watering our lawns, we really have to be mindful of the wastage of water. And then for the food as well, food choices, the food which is on our table has also involved a lot of water for producing, for transporting it, for packaging it, and it really involves a lot of that. And we should use local produce and vegetable based stuff for eating, because meat does involve a lot of water to really get to that point, which is of course wastage of water, which we do not realize.
So we really need to make good choices. I think that's what the point is, that everybody needs to think about the future generations, you know, the future of your country as well. And not just that, ladies and gentlemen, I think for everybody who's sitting out there, if you're one of those people who are to decide for the better future of Pakistani generation, imagine every year in flood, there are floods over here in Pakistan, you know, and I think Ms. Mariam very rightly pointed out that we do not even have reservoirs, and reservoirs does not mean building bigger dams. Yes, it can be smaller dams, you know, in different places, many different places at the same time as well. I think we should do that. In fact, save everybody from the loss of their livelihood as well, you know, because they lose their cattle, they lose their livelihood, they lose a lot of things once the floods actually start to take place over here in Pakistan as well. And for the last 10 years, we have been witnessing that the floods do take place somewhere around, you know, this season as well. So please, I think everybody need to think about it. But thank you very much, Dr. Rashid Saab. Thank you very much, Ms. Mariam, for joining us. It was wonderful to be in conversation with you. And thank you very much for raising awareness that how important it is for us to think about it, to step up in the game, and to make sure that we do not waste water. It's a promise that I'm not going to waste water from today onwards. Make sure that you keep up this promise as well. But water, ladies and gentlemen, God forbid, if you're not going to drink too much of it, you will be left dehydrated. Otherwise, your muscles might feel a little bit crampy or cranky for that matter. Is that true? Is something which we'll be talking about in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For everybody who just got tuned into PTV World, you watching World this morning alongside Shahzad Hassan Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier we were observing International Water Day as well, where we were raising awareness about how important water is for us and make sure that you always drink safe drinking water, not clean drinking water. And then before heading out towards a short break, I mentioned that water is very important for your muscles as well. God forbid if you do not drink enough water, your muscles do get a little crampy as well. But right now we want to actually be in conversation with somebody who's super fit, who started his fitness journey long time back, and he's over here to advise us whether how can we keep ourselves healthy and fit. Ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by Mr. Shafa Ullah Khan. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum assalam, how are you doing?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for joining us, and you look fabulously well in this shirt and these pants as well.
Thank you.
And it's always a challenge to grow your legs, and I see that you've done it, mashallah. So this is something which we will focus on as well.
Sure.
A lot of people out there, I see them struggling. They want bigger legs, but they just cannot do it. They do the squatting, they do the lunges, they do the press-ups, they do everything pretty much, but the legs don't grow. Why?
It's probably because I think they're not doing it.
Right?
They should be doing it at least 2 times a day. Two times a week minimum. But unfortunately, I do see people skipping leg days. I don't know where you've seen people hit legs. So I think you're mistaken. People are skipping legs, and that's why they don't grow legs. And
Really?
I don't know if you've seen, but people with bigger legs, they don't have a smaller upper body. So if you have big legs, your upper body automatically looks bigger. So I guess that's motivation for you to hit legs.
Well, I believe that that's true as well. But yeah, you're right, because when I was working on my legs as well, there's something I got to know. My trainer told me that this is half or more than half of your body.
Yeah, obviously.
And we have long legs as well. So it's true that you really need to hit it twice a week at least, if you're going to the gym. But that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is what are the right exercises to do in order to grow your legs?
Okay, the main exercises are obviously, as you mentioned, squats and leg presses, obviously. But deadlifts, leg extension, hamstring curls, these are the other ones that play a major part. And obviously, you can't ignore your calves. So you have to do calf raises for those. You can do them either sitting or standing. So
Exactly.
I guess these 5, 6 exercises are more than enough.
Just do this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and all of these exercises will work. So, okay, there's a very common myth, I don't know, but I believe in it, and that is that, higher weights, lower reps will gain you more muscle. And, higher reps and lower weight will actually make you lose a lot of fat.
Okay.
Is that true? And the muscle as well?
Unfortunately, this is a myth. So it's all about the total volume in your exercise. So that could be either by higher reps or a higher weight in comparison with a lower, as in higher weights and
Lower
reps and or higher reps
Reps
and lower
and
weight.
lower weight.
So it's about the total volume. Both of them gets you at the end bigger muscles and less fat.
Both of them?
Yeah.
So that but then you do not get that ripped feeling as well. With higher repetitions you have a little more definition to your body as well. But with lower reps, I think you just bulk up.
That is almost negligible. The rippedness and the size comes with your food and your nutrition.
Exactly. So it
That's the
totally
most-
depends on what people want to see.
Obviously.
If they want to see and this is how things are these days. Everybody wants lean muscle. So how to get lean muscle? I think let's talk about that.
That's always on your diet. It depends on what you're eating, what you're putting in your body. And I tell people you have to eat what you want to look like. So if you want to look ripped, you have to sacrifice a lot of things. You have to sacrifice sugar, salt, and you don't have to sacrifice it throughout your life. You can sacrifice it for a couple of months and then come back, or you can have a refeed day, or some people call it a cheat day. You can have that once a week. Obviously, that's pretty
Only
much fine.
once a week.
You can have it twice a week as well if you're, if you can't let go of sugar. But once a week is the optimum number.
Exactly,
But
and that's wonderful as well. But ladies and gentlemen, we really want to show the world how Shafa actually looks like. So we have a lot of pictures of yours. So let's go, let's take a look how Shafa looks like on his journey to fitness. Okay, so this is where you started.
5 years ago.
5 years ago. And you started because you thought that you were, oh my God, mashallah.
Thank you.
What did you do?
I just worked out consistently for the 5 years.
For 5 years?
Yeah, that's it.
No chutti, no nothing, no days off.
There were a couple of gaps in between, I won't lie, but for the general part, it's been consistent throughout the 5 years.
Wow, bro, it's wonderful. And
Thank
you
you.
know, it's a part of your learning curve as well.
Obviously,
Initially when you
obviously.
start, you get injured, you go back home, you rest yourself, you come back as well. Because this just happened to me like, I think almost 15 days ago. So I was doing these squats and I wanted to go lower, 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 you know. So I went lower, but, you know, I think my center of gravity kind of moved, and, you know, I had a choke. We very commonly know that, you know, I had a bend in my back as well, and then I had to come back home, lie down, and all this time I was thinking that, you know, for all of these years I have invested in my body. I cannot just lie down on the bed. I have to get back up. So I'm working on my rehabilitation. Quick tips for people who are rehabilitating. For example, they had an injury in the gym. What do you think that they should do?
The first thing is they shouldn't stop at all. They shouldn't let it be a setback, and you know they have to make sure that they are going to come back.
Okay.
And the second is to make sure they meet a professional, because a lot of people will ignore their problem and think, "Ye to I'll be able to handle it myself."
Yeah.
So make sure you don't do that. You get professional help, and I guess just be 100% committed to making a comeback, and a professional will definitely help you out in the best way possible, and will make sure you get back in the smallest amount of time.
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, we really need to be careful about who we are actually calling a professional. I think professionals are people who've actually now studied about bodybuilding as well, and then they train themselves as well. They know about the right angles. The right angles, ladies and gentlemen, are very important, because if you're not doing it the right way, that's when you're actually going to get injured. Other than that, you're not going to get injured, because that's how our body mechanics are.
True,
And
true.
you know, thinking about that and talking about that as well, there's this one thing more in my mind as well, that, you know, do you think that using a belt actually always saves you from a back injury? Because I believe at times that it gets just so congested, because it's totally about how strong your core is. Because if your core is strong and you've done your warm-up, I don't think that the injury can actually come closer to you. So how important is warm-up and then the use of belt?
The warm-up is 101% important, obviously, goes without saying. Since your muscles are more warmed and the blood is flowing into them, they are less they're more resistant to injuring themselves. But a belt is important as well, because it helps you, especially if you're going up for a higher weight. It's going to add more stability and balance to your posture. What it does, it compresses your core, and as something is compressed, it obviously pushes out and makes it more strong.
Yeah.
So a belt is important as well, especially if you're going for a higher weight.
I think that's wonderful. Thank you very much for saying that, Shafa, because people half of the time do not know, and people actually debunk these things as well, that, you know, even if you are telling somebody, okay, you know, that's quite a lot of weight, you should bear a, nah bro, I don't need it.
Exactly.
You know, things like that. So I think it can really get very serious, because I've had one operation on my back, and it was just because of the fact that there was somebody doing deadlift. It was somewhat around 140 kg. I was 19 years old, and I was like, okay, you know what, I can probably lift it up. And that person, who actually happened to be my trainer then, didn't really stop me, and I wasn't even wearing a belt. And 6 years down the line, I had to fly to England to get my surgery done as well. And then there was this entire rehabilitation process. So, you know, please make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that even if you're working out, if you're doing any exercise, warm up a little, because it will actually help you. And then, you know, as Shafa said, that there will be more resistance in your muscle against any injury as well. That's wonderful.
What I do tell people as well is, this is an investment for your future, all of this fitness and, you know, having a good form, being safe. So whatever you do, you just have to make sure that it's not going to affect my future life. Maybe not 60 years down the line, even 60 years down the line, it could, you know, be dangerous or good for you, depends on
Exactly.
what
So
you're
you
going
always
to
have to do it. You always have to follow these things as well. And, you know, the point you made right now, I think I'm going to 100% agree to it, because there are people who come to my gym. I work out with them as well. You know, one of them is 57. He looks just like us. You know, so that's how you're investing in your future, that, you know, that you're going to be there for your kids. You can play with them. You can take them to the gym by yourself. And, you know, before us, I don't think that there was this tradition. Even though, you know, every now and then I'm in conversation with my father, he says that, you know, that the kind of gyms you guys go to, we didn't have gyms of such sort back then. So I was like that, you know, Arnold was actually working out in 1970s, you know, so if you wanted to do it, you could have done it as well. So it's always by choice.
Obviously.
How about you? How did you start it?
The credit does go to my father. As, he was the one who motivated me to start. I was physically weak in the beginning, and he noticed that too, and he wanted me to start. So for the first 2 years, he was pretty happy, and then he got a little annoyed because I was so invested into it. But now he's pretty happy with what I've done, and so that's how I started.
I think that's wonderful. So your father even goes to the gym?
Not too often, but on and off.
But he does go to the gym. I think it's wonderful. I think everybody out there should actually go to the gym, or even if not gym, you know, go for a walk, go for a hike.
Have some sort of movement in the
life. Alhamdulillah, you know, we're lucky enough over here in Islamabad that we have a lot of places to go to as well. But very quickly, one last thing.
Yeah, sure.
And that is that since we have shared your picture as well, and, you know, you looked very skinny back then, 5 years ago. What is the main ingredient behind building mass?
In my opinion, milk and peanut butter
Peanut butter
and milk.
and milk.
The combination of two is unstoppable.
So what about protein? You know, we have been taking too much protein and shakes and barbecue and whatnot.
These do help, obviously, but I started taking protein shakes after around 2.5 years of my journey. And milk has a lot of protein. Around 1 liter of milk has around 35 to 40 grams of protein.
So you can have half a liter,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. You can have a liter, that's fine as well.
I think that's wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Shafa, for being with us.
problem at all.
It was
Nice
wonderful to be in conversation, and to be in conversation with such an handsome hunk who actually knows what he's actually trying to do is something which is beautiful as well. Ladies and gentlemen, as we told you earlier as well, that it was Water International Day as well, which is recognized by the United Nations. Please make sure that you spread awareness about that, about working out, about injuries. We are trying to spread awareness as well. Make sure that you write to us on our Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube, with the name of World This Morning. Remember us all in your prayers. Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.